I work the front desk at a hotel in Helsinki, and last month, an American couple checked in around 9 p.m. The lobby was quiet. Most guests were in their rooms. Normal Finnish evening. The woman looked around, then leaned over the counter and whispered, "Is everything okay? It's so quiet. Did something happen?" I told her no. Everything was fine. She wasn't convinced. But nobody's talking. In America, hotel lobbies are lively at night. Are people scared to be out? I explained that Finns just don't make unnecessary noise, especially in shared spaces. Her husband jumped in. That's not healthy. Humans are social creatures. This silence is unnatural. He pulled out his phone and started Googling Finland depression rates to prove his point. I watched him discover that Finland is literally ranked as one of the happiest countries on Earth. He looked genuinely confused. "But you're all so quiet." That moment right there, confusion, meeting, culture shock, is what I study full-time. Most people skim the surface of these stories. I decode the psychology underneath. If that distinction matters to you, you'll want to subscribe. They spent 15 minutes trying to start conversations with other guests in the elevator. Everyone just nodded politely and looked at the floor numbers. The couple left a review saying our hotel had concerning atmospheric issues. 2 days later, a family from Texas asked if our sauna was broken because nobody was talking in there. I had to explain that talking in saunas is actually considered weird here. Last week, an American asked if Finns were angry at him because the cashier at the grocery store didn't ask about his day. He wanted to file a complaint about hostile service, and that was just March. I drive a taxi in Oslo, and I picked up an American businessman from the airport at 6 a.m. He got in, said good morning, and I nodded. Professional. Normal. We drove for maybe 3 minutes in comfortable silence before he started fidgeting. "So, how's your day going?" I said fine, thanks. More silence. He tried again. "Been busy this morning?" I said not too busy. He was sweating now. "Are you upset with me? Did I do something wrong?" I had no idea what he meant. He explained that in America, taxi drivers chat with passengers. It's friendly. The silence was making him anxious. I told him that Norwegians don't force conversation just to fill air. We're comfortable with quiet. He said that wasn't scientifically possible. Humans need social interaction. It's biological. You're basically telling me Norwegians have evolved past basic psychology. This is the pattern most people miss. We assume our normal is universal. I unpack these blind spots every week. Subscribing just makes sure you don't keep seeing the world through the same lens everyone else does. He spent the rest of the ride explaining American customer service standards and how silence equals rudeness in business settings. When we arrived, he tipped extra and said, "I appreciate you tolerating the ride. I know it must have been uncomfortable for you too." The silence had been the best part of my morning. I was working at a cafe in Copenhagen when an American woman sat down with her laptop. She was on a video call, speaking at full volume about her marketing strategy. Every head in the cafe turned. She didn't notice. After 20 minutes, I politely asked if she could lower her voice. She looked around, stunned. "Why is everyone staring? I'm just working." I explained that Danes prefer quiet cafes, where people can read or work in peace. She told me that was impossible. In Seattle, cafes are collaborative spaces. This is what productivity sounds like. She pointed to a Danish man reading a newspaper. "That guy looks miserable." In America, we'd invite him to join the conversation. I told her that he looked perfectly content. She shook her head. This is what happens when cultures suppress natural human communication. Everyone's isolated. She packed up her laptop and left, muttering about Scandinavian social dysfunction. The man with the newspaper smiled at me for the first time that day. Peace restored. I work at a library in Reykjavik. An American college student was visiting for research. She sat down at a table and immediately started a phone conversation. Not even whispering. Full voice. Every Icelander in the section looked up in synchronized horror. I approached her and gestured to the quiet signs. She ended the call and apologized. 5 minutes later, she was FaceTiming someone, laughing loudly. I came back over. She said, "I saw the signs, but I thought they meant like, don't yell. This is just normal talking volume." I explained that Icelandic libraries are silent except for whispers. She argued that was unrealistic. Libraries in America are community hubs. They're alive with energy. This feels like a morgue. She wanted to know if Iceland had rules against being friendly. I told her we have rules against being loud. She said she'd literally read that Iceland had the highest literacy rate in the world. How can people learn in total silence? Don't you discuss ideas? I gestured to the room full of people reading peacefully. She looked around and said, "They all look so lonely." Nobody looked lonely. They looked like they were reading. I was giving a tour in Stockholm when an American woman in the group kept trying to chat with random Swedish people on the street. She'd wave, say hello, ask for directions we didn't need. Everyone responded politely but briefly. She pulled me aside after the third attempt. "Are Swedish people okay? Nobody wants to talk." I explained that Swedes don't typically engage in random conversations with strangers. She said that was a red flag for social isolation. In California, we talk to everyone. It builds community. She insisted on testing her theory. She approached a man waiting for the bus and asked what he did for work. He answered in 3 words and went back to his phone. She returned to me, concerned. "That man needs help." He barely made eye contact. I told her he was just Swedish. She spent the rest of the tour diagnosing everyone we passed with social anxiety. By the end, she'd decided that Sweden needed a public awareness campaign about the importance of small talk. She was going to write an article about it when she got home. I work at a restaurant in Prague, and an American couple came in for dinner. I greeted them, took their order, and brought their food. Standard service. When I dropped off the bill, the woman stopped me. "Can I ask you something? Are you angry at us?" I assured her I wasn't. She looked at her husband. He hasn't smiled once. Didn't ask how our day was. Just took our order and left. I explained that Czech servers don't perform friendliness. We're professional and efficient. She said that wasn't acceptable. In America, servers are part of the dining experience. "You're supposed to build rapport," her husband agreed. We tipped well at lunch, and that server still didn't warm up to us. "What do we have to do?" I told them nothing. The service was already complete. They left a 3-star review saying the staff was emotionally distant and that Prague restaurants needed to learn American hospitality standards. The food was described as excellent. I'm a professor at a university in Krakow. An American exchange student came to my office hours, visibly upset. "I think the other students hate me." I asked why she thought that. "Nobody talks to me before class. They just sit there silently. When I try to start conversations, they give one-word answers." I explained that Polish students don't typically chat before lectures. They're preparing or reviewing notes. She insisted that couldn't be normal. In America, we socialize before class. It's how you make friends. She'd interpreted the silence as exclusion. I told her it wasn't personal. She pulled out her phone and showed me American university websites describing vibrant campus communities, with photos of students laughing in classrooms. This is what college is supposed to look like. Why is Poland different? I suggested she was comparing cultural norms unfairly. She said she wasn't judging, just observing that Polish students seemed sad. They weren't sad. They were just quiet. I manage a hostel in Tallinn, and an American backpacker complained that his roommates were weird. I asked him to elaborate. They come back at night, get ready for bed, and just sleep. No hanging out. No swapping travel stories. They act like the room is just for sleeping. I confirmed that yes, bedrooms are generally for sleeping. He said that defeated the whole purpose of hostels. In America, hostel culture is about bonding. We stay up sharing experiences. These guys treat me like I'm invisible. I told him that Estonian travelers prefer to socialize in common areas, not bedrooms. He said that was antisocial. How are you supposed to make international friends if nobody talks? I pointed to the common room downstairs where people were actively chatting. He said that didn't count because it was organized. Real connections happen spontaneously, like in bedrooms at 1 a.m. He requested a room transfer to be with friendlier people. There were no friendlier people, just quieter rooms. I work at a co-working space in Bucharest. An American entrepreneur rented a desk for a month. First day, he went around introducing himself to everyone, asking about their projects, trying to set up synergy meetings. Most people smiled politely and went back to work. He came to me, frustrated. Is this space always so dead? Nobody wants to collaborate. I explained that Romanian professionals come here to focus, not network. He said that was a missed opportunity. In Austin, co-working spaces are ecosystems. Everyone's pitching ideas, forming partnerships. That's innovation. He tried organizing a happy hour. 3 people showed up. He considered it a failure and blamed Romanian coldness. The next week, he started playing music at his desk to liven things up. I had to ask him to use headphones. He said he was just trying to create energy. Silence kills creativity. I told him 12 other people were being creative just fine in silence. He didn't renew his membership, left a review saying we needed better community management. I'm a train conductor on the route between Amsterdam and Brussels, and last summer, an American family boarded for the 2-hour journey. Within 10 minutes, they were talking loudly, laughing, playing videos on their phones without headphones. A Dutch businessman across the aisle looked up from his book, the universal European look of polite distress. I approached the family and mentioned that this was a quiet car. The father said, "Oh, we didn't realize. We'll keep it down." They lasted 3 minutes before the volume crept back up. I returned. This time the father was defensive. We're not being that loud. We're just having a conversation. Our family's not allowed to talk. I explained that the quiet car designation meant minimal noise. He said that was unreasonable. You can't expect children to sit in complete silence for 2 hours. That's not healthy. I offered to move them to a regular car. He refused. We paid for these seats. In America, we have freedom of speech. You can't tell people not to talk. His wife added that Europeans were too uptight about noise. Life is meant to be lived out loud. All this silence is depressing. Another passenger, a Belgian woman, finally turned around and said in perfect English, "We can hear you perfectly. That's the problem." The father responded that she should be happy to hear a family enjoying themselves. This is what joy sounds like. She went back to her book. The family talked at full volume for the entire journey, occasionally commenting on how serious and unfriendly everyone looked. When they got off in Brussels, I watched them walk into the station, still talking loudly. A group of Belgian commuters parted silently around them like water around a rock. The quiet car stayed quiet for the return journey. The Dutch businessman smiled at me. We didn't say a word. If that kind of silence says more than words ever could, this channel is built for you. I break down culture, behavior, and meaning like this every single week. Subscribing doesn't help me. It helps you not miss the next perspective shift. And somewhere right now, an American is explaining to a Norwegian that small talk is a human right, and that Norwegian is wondering if the next train to anywhere else comes soon.